Who had the best draft?
I mean, I think it's the Mavs.
It's the Dallas Mavericks for sure. I think with that just ballsy move to move up for Luka Doncic, also getting Jalen Brunson, a reliable point guard in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
They had a really, really good night. It could be a franchise-changing night. And then moving forward into the summer, we'll see what they do. The offseason's not over for them. They want to potentially pursue DeMarcus Cousins or Clint Capella, could chase Julius Randle or DJ if he enters the free agency, which I don't think he will.
Dwight.
Yeah, who knows?
We've been scheming about it.
Yeah.
Favors, all kinds of guys.
Put it this way, they're going to have a young core with Dennis Smith and Luka Doncic
excited,
and so on and so forth with potentially a competitive team. And I love what they're doing. I feel good for the Dallas Mavericks.
I'll give one. Sixers. I'll take them as a second. I love what they did. So getting Zaire and then having that extra pick. Getting Zaire in that team plus the extra pick. And my guy Shake Milton at SMU. I still believe in Shake.
We still believe. At least me and Tjarks still believe.
We're on the Shake Island here.
I do think it's worth mentioning for Philly that they save about $1 million in cap space by trading them from 10 to 16, which helps. It could help moving forward if they want to have their supermassive offseason getting Kawhi and LeBron. Every cent's going to matter. Even just one of those guys, those extra cap savings matters. And guess what? I think Zaire Smith is a better prospect.
Yeah, we all like Zaire, man. He's going to be so much fun to watch next year.
What's the best player, fit, situation?
Maybe people will disagree with this, but I really like the Lonnie Walker, Coach Popovich
Lonnie.
union
Team Lonnie here. Team
So
Lonnie.
there was a fantastic factoid that was brought out on Twitter last night. Lonnie Walker is the first player in Spurs history to be born after they won their first championship.
Oh, that's crazy.
Whoa.
We are all old. We are all way old.
We're definitely washed for sure.
I just think Lonnie Walker at that stage in the draft has as much star potential as anyone post lottery. And with the Spurs being in such flux, you really have to take a chance, and you really have to believe that Pop can, get a hold of Lonnie and rein in his interest and rein in his potential. I think that's awesome.
We talked about this last night on our live show during the draft, where Lonnie Walker, a lot of it, he's a good shooter, not a great shooter.
Right.
He's a good defender, not a great defender. Maybe the Spurs can turn that goodness into greatness.
I like him
for
and
them.
DeJounte Murray too. I think that works well.
It's definitely a good
Long,
backcourt
athletic.
pairing, and in terms of fit, we're almost going basic here with the best coaches, but Boston Celtics drafting Robert Williams,
Oh,
the
of course.
27th
I was just going
pick.
to say Williams.
It's a wonderful fit for Williams specifically because he's a guy that's had motor issues, some off-court issues as well.
Life coach Brad Stevens, man.
Yeah, he's got Brad Stevens now, and a defensive culture for him that maybe they turn him on. Maybe the green light goes on for him, and he becomes that player that he can be. You've probably seen him more than anybody in Texas, John.
Yeah. Athletically, he's not far off these top guys.
Not at all.
He's a crazy athlete.
And he would have been a lottery pick last year.
Yeah, he would have for sure.
He was a borderline lottery pick this year before he fell.
And he played in the worst possible team. It was so bad.
It's something that I think Brad Stevens mentioned, that he kind of doesn't see Williams as quite the one-dimensional rim runner type.
Oh, I love it.
So basically, we're looking at maybe another Aaron Baines situation. And this is something that actually...
He's got some passing ability.
Yeah.
He's not unskilled.
No. Right, yeah,
And
he can pass.
He just can't shoot.
Robert Williams, before his sophomore season, had talked about wanting to expand his game, wanting to shoot more threes.
And then he shot 47% from free throw line.
Yeah, and then none of it showed.
I will say, I remember the first time I watched Robert Williams, they're playing Kentucky 2 years ago, and he had a pull-up jump shot, and I was just like, what? How could a guy does a pull-up jumper? That doesn't even make sense. He did nothing else the entire game, but I was like, I'm interested in a guy that big who can pull up jumpers.
Robert Williams was probably the first-round steal of the night. Second-round steal of the night for me is first pick in the second round. Elie Okobo,
that's a good
French
pick.
point guard. Okobo.
Is he the third best shooter in this draft, maybe? Top 5, for sure.
He's good.
Yeah,
he's
he's a
good.
good shooter.
I think Okobo, we talk about, Trae Young, best shooter, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, best defender, Colin Sexton, best attacking the rim. Okobo has a little bit of all of that, and I'm a little bit surprised he slipped out of the first round. So for Phoenix to get him at that pick is really good. Danny, how about yourself in the second round?
I like Kyrie Thomas, who eventually made his way to
Where did he end
the
up?
Pistons.
Jeez, he was all over the place.
So he was the 38th pick, and they kind of gathered a couple of those guys. So they got Kyrie Thomas, they got Bruce Brown,
Ooh, I like
and
Bruce Brown.
so you're looking at basically replacements for Avery Bradley, for Langston Galloway. Guys who have much more upside, but along the lines of very similar profile, 3-and-D guys,
those are good
tough
comps.
guys.
Those are good comps.
Defensive-minded players. I'm into it.
I'll say for me, I'll go the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the guys they got Josh Okogie from Georgia Tech in the first round, and then Keita Bates' job fell a lot in the second from Ohio State. I think they can both. They can shoot it. They can kind of defend it. I think they can. If Tibbs would play these guys, they'd help this team.
Yeah, those are NBA ready guys.
Yeah, I mean they can do like very simple roles, which they shoot and defend.
What was the gutsiest decision? Is it just the Hawks taking Trae Young, or is there another decision in the draft that could turn out to be a ballsy choice?
I mean, I'm thinking. Whatever the Clippers did.
I agree with that. Clippers were
Jerome Robinson, Boston College guard with the 13th pick.
We'd heard all of the rumors, all of them. They want Mo Bamba. They want Michael Porter. They want Luka. They end up with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jerome Robinson, who was not a lottery prospect for most of the year, up until about maybe 4 days ago.
Played 3 seasons at Boston College, and the way it was described to me with him is that, at Boston College, he turned into a 2-guard. He played point guard as a freshman, then they planned to play the 2.
Kai Bowman, yeah.
And he can score. Like, he can get buckets from 3, off the dribble, off screens. Yeah. He's a versatile scorer. He's very switchy. Looks like Jamal Crawford.
You're selling me, KOC. You're selling me.
The concern with him is playmaking. Like, it seemed watching BC like, this is a selfish player. He doesn't pass the ball. Yeah. But I was told that he was simply doing his job and that he has shown more playmaking in workouts, that he can do more.
And they had Bowman to run point last year.
Yes,
so yeah, it makes sense.
Exactly. And if you're the Clippers, maybe, or these other teams, I know the Bucks like them at 17, maybe it's like, this guy can play both guard spots for us. 6'5", perfect guard for today's league. I'm just playing. I wouldn't have taken him there either.
Right.
But I'm just saying, maybe that's the logic.
I will say Jerry West. I don't want to ever be like the great Jerry. If he says something, I'm not going to be like Jerry West was a fool. Like that's crazy.
What was the biggest disappointment of the night? Whether it's for fans, players, teams.
I just kind of think it was the fact that the Kings did exactly what we thought they were going to do for the past 3 or 4 days. Like, they were, in my opinion, the kind of the linchpin of the draft. They determined how everything else would shake out. They didn't trade. They didn't draft Luka. Bagley is a very high upside player. I'm just a little bummed.
Best moment of the draft in my eyes last night. Adrian Wojnarowski
just
storming through the doors after Mark Stein broke some picks early, and he starts just saying they fancy this player. They have interest in this player. They will not resist drafting this player.
Adrian's not a team first guy, apparently, man.
It made watching the drafts so much fun.